The horizon is empty. For the Polynesian navigators standing on the shore of Rapa Nui, what the world will one day call Easter Island, this is not metaphor. It is cartography, it is cosmology, it is certainty. They have sailed farther than any humans in history. They have crossed an ocean larger than all the world's land masses combined. They have found islands separated by distances that would swallow European kingdoms whole. And now, here, 6,000 kilometers from the nearest continent, they have reached the edge. Behind them, the scattered jewels of Polynesia, stretching back through the Marquesas, the Societies, the Cooks. Ahead, nothing but water, curving toward a horizon that holds no land for 4,000 kilometers in any direction. This is the boundary. This is as far as humanity can go, except in the storage houses, wrapped in woven mats, preserved with the same care given to genealogies and sacred stones, lies something that does not belong here, a root vegetable, rough-skinned, sweet-fleshed. Known across these islands by variations of the same word, kumara, the sweet potato. The Pacific Ocean occupies 1/3 of the Earth's surface, not 1/3 of the ocean, 1/3 of the planet. It is larger than all land on Earth combined. You could fit every continent inside it and still have room for another Africa. At its widest point, it stretches 19,800 kilometers, nearly half the circumference of the globe. In 1200 AD, while European ships hug coastlines and Arab dhows master the monsoon winds of the Indian Ocean, the Pacific remains the largest unbridged space in human experience. It is not one ocean. It is 1,000 oceans, each with its own personality. Near the equator, the doldrums trap ships in windless heat that can last for weeks. Farther south, the roaring Forties generate swells that circle the globe uninterrupted by land. Storm systems the size of continents spin through empty water, their power undocumented, their existence known only to the birds. The deep Pacific holds currents that flow like rivers through the sea. The Kuroshio, the Humboldt, the South Equatorial, these are not gentle drifts. They are highways of water, moving millions of cubic meters per second, capable of carrying anything: driftwood, pumice, seeds, civilizations, across distances that mock human intention. Between the surface and the seafloor, 5 kilometers of water. In some trenches, 11. This is the barrier, and on one side of it, in South America, grows a plant that should not exist anywhere else. Ipomoea batatas, the sweet potato. It evolved in the Americas. Genetic analysis confirms this without ambiguity. Its wild relatives grow only in Central and South America. Its cultivation began there, probably in Peru or Ecuador, at least 8,000 years ago. By 1200 AD, it has become a staple crop along the Andean coast and in the river valleys that cut through the driest desert on Earth. The Andean civilizations know it intimately. They breed dozens of varieties, each adapted to different altitudes and climates. They develop preservation techniques, freeze-drying at high altitude, that allows storage for years. They incorporate it into their cosmology, their art, their trade networks. It is as Andean as quinoa, as native as the potato, as South American as the llama. Except, it is also in Polynesia. Not a similar plant, not a parallel evolution. The exact same species. The genetic markers confirm it. The linguistic evidence reinforces it. The archaeological record preserves it. In the Cook Islands, kumara. In New Zealand, kumara. In Rapa Nui, kumara. In Hawaii, waula. In the Marquesas, kuma. And in Quechua, the language of the Andes, kuma. The phonetic similarity is not coincidence. Linguistic analysis shows the word traveled with the plant, sound and seed moving together across an ocean that was supposed to be uncrossable. The presence of the sweet potato in Polynesia before European contact is now undisputed. The question that remains is not if contact occurred, but how. And that question requires understanding the people who could make such contact possible. The navigators. The Polynesians did not stumble across the Pacific. They engineered one of the most sophisticated navigation systems in human history, then used it to execute the longest-range maritime migration ever accomplished. A Polynesian voyaging canoe is not a boat. It is a platform for survival across distances measured in thousands of kilometers. The largest vessels stretch 30 meters long. They are twin-hulled, with a deck lashed between them that can carry 50 people, plus cargo, pigs, chickens, dogs, seed crops, water, preserved food, tools, and the portable essence of an entire culture. The hulls are carved from single logs or built up from planks sewn together with coconut fiber and sealed with breadfruit sap. The sails are woven from pandanus leaves, designed to catch the trade winds and hold them. These vessels can sail upwind. They can tack. They can maintain speeds of 15 to 20 kilometers per hour in optimal conditions, sustaining voyages of weeks or months. But the technology means nothing without the knowledge to use it. Polynesian navigation is a cognitive architecture, built over thousands of years and transmitted through intensive training that begins in childhood. There are no instruments, no compasses, no sextants, no charts in the European sense. Instead, a three-dimensional map held entirely in human memory. Navigators learn the star compass, a conceptual grid that divides the horizon into 32 houses, each marked by the rising and setting points of specific stars throughout the year. They memorize the movement of constellations across the sky. They learn to read the dome of night, as Europeans will later read astrolabes. But stars are only the beginning. They study wave patterns. The Pacific is not flat. Groundswells generated by distant storms move across the ocean in predictable directions. Islands interrupt these patterns, creating reflection waves, interference patterns that can be detected hundreds of kilometers away. Expert navigators can feel these patterns through the hull, read them in the rhythm of the boat's movement, identify the presence of land beyond the horizon. They observe birds. Different species have different ranges. A tern might indicate land within 50 kilometers. A frigate bird, twice that. The direction of their flight at dawn and dusk traces vectors toward islands unseen. They monitor clouds. Islands generate their own weather systems. Cumulus clouds form over land. The color of the sky reflects differently off lagoons than off open ocean. A navigator can see an atoll by reading the light bouncing off the underside of clouds. They taste the water. Ocean salinity varies. River outflows create signatures. Debris patterns indicate proximity to land. They notice everything: the color of the water, the behavior of fish, the smell of the air, the temperature gradients, the angle of the sun, and they synthesize all of this into a dynamic, constantly updating model of their position relative to home, destination, currents, and wind. This is not primitive. This is cognitive sophistication of the highest order. By 1200 AD, Polynesian navigators have used these techniques to settle every habitable island in a triangular region spanning from Hawaii in the north to New Zealand in the southwest to Rapa Nui in the southeast, a triangle covering 28 million square kilometers. They have crossed the equator. They have navigated against prevailing winds. They have found islands smaller than Manhattan in an ocean larger than all continents combined. The greatest European explorers of the Age of Sail, equipped with compasses, astrolabes, and charts, will struggle to replicate these voyages. The Polynesians did it centuries earlier with nothing but observation and memory, which raises the question: if they could find islands scattered across an ocean like grains of sand across a continent, what stopped them from reaching the next landmass? The answer might be nothing. Rapa Nui sits at the edge of possibility. It is the most remote inhabited island on Earth. The nearest populated land lies over 2,000 kilometers away in the Pitcairn Group. The South American coast lies 3,700 kilometers to the east. Archaeological evidence shows Polynesians arrived here between 1100 and 1200 AD. When they made landfall, they found an island unlike anything in their experience. No coral reef, no lagoon, no protective barrier against the ocean swells. Instead, volcanic cliffs, crashing surf, dangerous landings, but also fertile soil, abundant seabirds, fish in the coastal waters, and space, 165 square kilometers of land, far larger than most Polynesian islands. They settled, they adapted, they built, and they brought the sweet potato. Archaeological excavations have recovered sweet potato remains from pre-contact Rapa Nui sites. Oral traditions describe it as a foundational crop, essential for survival on an island where other Polynesian staples struggled to thrive. But Rapa Nui is not the only location. Sweet potato remains have been found in pre-contact sites across Polynesia, the Cook Islands, the Marquesas, New Zealand, where Maori cultivation transformed the plant into the economic foundation of pre-European society. The timeline is consistent. Sweet potato appears in eastern Polynesia around 1000 to 1200 AD, precisely during the period of final expansion. This is the threshold where all explanations converge. Either Polynesians reached South America, or South Americans reached Polynesia, or both. For decades, scholars resisted this conclusion. The distances seemed impossible, the implications uncomfortable, but the evidence accumulated. Genetic analysis of sweet potato specimens from across the Pacific showed they descended from South American varieties, not independent domestication. The linguistic evidence held under scrutiny. And then, in 2020, a genomic study of pre-contact chicken bones from Chile revealed Polynesian genetic markers, direct biological evidence of contact. The case is now closed on whether contact happened. Imagine the decision. You are standing on the shore of Rapa Nui in the year 1200. Behind you, the most remote settlement in human history. Ahead, an ocean that stretches to a horizon your people have never crossed. Every navigation technique you possess is optimized for finding islands in Polynesia. You know the star paths, you know the wind patterns, you know the bird ranges, you know where the next landmass should be within the archipelago system. But that system ends here. To the east, there is no next island. The navigation schools teach this. The star compass confirms it. The birds do not fly that direction and return. Yet the sweet potato exists. Someone crossed, somehow. Now consider the variables. The distance from Rapa Nui to the South American coast is 3,700 kilometers, approximately 2,000 nautical miles. At an average speed of 6 knots with favorable winds and no storms, the voyage would take roughly 14 days. But winds are not always favorable. Storms are not always absent. And navigation across that distance, with no intermediate landfall, requires dead reckoning on a scale beyond anything attempted in the usual inter-island voyages. You cannot use the usual island finding techniques because there are no islands to find. You are sailing toward a continent, but continents do not generate the same detection signatures as islands. No small mountains generating cloud formations. No concentrated bird populations indicating narrow targets. You are navigating toward a coastline thousands of kilometers long, but you have no way of knowing where along that coastline you will make landfall, or what will be there when you do. And you must carry enough provisions for a voyage that could take twice as long as planned. Water for 50 people for 30 days, food for the same. Seeds and breeding stock if this is a colonization voyage. Tools, fire-making equipment. The cultural cargo of an entire society compressed into 30 meters of canoe. The psychological weight of this is difficult to overstate. Polynesian navigation is built on knowledge tested across generations. Every star path has been verified, every wave pattern confirmed. Every voyage builds on the accumulated wisdom of every voyage before it, but this is sailing off the map. And yet, the sweet potato is in Polynesia, which means someone made this calculation and committed. Here is the harder question. What if they made it both ways? A one-way voyage ending in South America explains the chicken bones. It explains the genetic markers found in pre-Columbian Chilean sites. It explains the Polynesian-style fishhooks and tools excavated from coastal settlements. But it does not explain the sweet potato in Polynesia. For that, you need a return voyage. And a return voyage across 3,700 kilometers of open Pacific is an entirely different proposition. The prevailing winds and currents in this region flow west to east from Polynesia towards South America. This is why European ships, centuries later, will struggle to sail from Peru to Polynesia. The winds fight them, the currents resist. For a Polynesian crew to return, they must either wait for seasonal wind reversals, which exist but are unpredictable, or they must sail far enough north or south to catch different current systems. The Humboldt Current runs north along the Chilean and Peruvian coast, then turns west near the equator. A navigator who understands this could use it, but it requires precise knowledge of where to position the canoe, when to make the turn, how to read the transition zones between current systems. And all of this must be done while carrying cargo that includes live sweet potato plants or viable seed stock, both of which require careful preservation during weeks at sea. The technical difficulty approaches the limits of what pre-industrial navigation can accomplish. But the sweet potato is in Polynesia, which means someone did it. Imagine first contact. A Polynesian voyaging canoe after weeks at sea sights land, not an island. A coastline that stretches beyond sight in both directions. Mountains rising directly from the shore, nothing like the low coral atolls or the gentle volcanic slopes of home. The crew beaches the canoe on a coast that is geographically South America, but politically and culturally something else entirely. This is the Andean world in its classical period. Coastal Peru in 1200 AD is not empty. It is densely populated, intensively cultivated, and politically organized into regional chiefdoms and ceremonial centers. The people here speak Quechua variants. They farm using sophisticated irrigation systems that channel water from mountain rivers across desert valleys. They fish using reed boats and cotton nets. They trade along coastal routes and across mountain passes. They know the ocean, but they do not know it the way the Polynesians do. Andean maritime technology is coastal. Reed boats, caballitos de Totora, are designed for surf zones and near-shore fishing. They are brilliant adaptations to local conditions, but they are not built for blue water crossings. So when a twin-hulled voyaging canoe appears, there are no written records. The Andean civilizations of this period do not use alphabetic writing. Polynesian cultures preserve history orally and through chants and genealogies, not through texts that survive millennia. But exchanges do not require text. Someone offers food. Someone accepts. Someone gestures toward the sweet potato plants growing in nearby fields. Someone recognizes a resource that could transform life on the islands. The conversations that matter are not about philosophy or politics. They are about agriculture, about whether this plant can survive transplantation, about how to propagate it, about what it needs to grow. And somehow, through gesture and trial and the universal language of cultivation, knowledge transfers. Cuttings are taken, or perhaps whole plants, roots and all, wrapped in damp cloth. Perhaps seeds, though sweet potato typically propagates from shoots. Perhaps tubers, carefully preserved. Provisions are loaded, the canoe is repaired. The navigators plot a return course, knowing they will be sailing against the prevailing winds, betting everything on their ability to find home across an empty ocean. And they leave. Was this a single voyage, or multiple? The genetic evidence suggests limited contact. The sweet potato varieties in Polynesia trace to a narrow South American source, probably a single introduction event, or at most a small number of introductions from the same region. But the chicken remains in Chile. The cultural artifacts, the linguistic traces, these suggest more than one brief landing. Perhaps there were multiple attempts. Perhaps some succeeded and some did not. Perhaps there is a maritime graveyard scattered across the eastern Pacific, holding the remains of crews who miscalculated, who were caught in storms, who ran out of provisions just days short of landfall. Polynesian oral traditions preserve accounts of long voyages to distant lands. In Maori tradition, there are references to a land called Hawaii, a homeland, possibly mythical, possibly real. In Rapa Nui, there are stories of ancestral journeys across great distances. But oral tradition is not cartography. It is memory shaped by cultural needs, not coordinates. What is certain is this: the sweet potato crossed the Pacific, and that crossing required human agency, not accident, not drift, not floating debris washing up on random shores. Someone saw the horizon and chose to cross it. Someone carried a plant across an ocean and kept it alive long enough to cultivate it in new soil. Someone returned with knowledge and succeeded in introducing a crop that would feed millions. For centuries, the dominant historical narrative treated the Pacific Ocean as a wall. It assumed the Americas and Polynesia existed in total isolation, separated by an impossible expanse of water, until European ships finally bridged the gap in the 16th century. That assumption wasn't just wrong, it was arrogant. It was built on rigid theories about technological limits and who was capable of discovering what. The idea that Polynesians could cross the Pacific shattered those theories. So, for a long time, the evidence was simply ignored. In 1947, Thor Heyerdahl famously sailed a wooden raft called the Kon-Tiki from Peru to Polynesia. He wanted to prove that South Americans settled the Pacific. He survived the voyage, but modern genetics and linguistics proved him entirely wrong. Polynesians didn't come from the Andes, they descended from Southeast Asia. But Heyerdahl missed a much more terrifying and radical reality. Polynesians didn't just settle remote, isolated islands. They sailed all the way to the coast of South America. And then, they sailed back. By the 13th century, European ships were still terrified to lose sight of the coastline. The absolute longest recorded Viking voyage stretched across the North Atlantic, a distance of roughly 2,800 kilometers. At that exact same time, Polynesians were routinely navigating stretches of open ocean exceeding 3,000 kilometers. They did this without written maps, without metal tools, without a single magnetic compass. They survived the deadliest ocean on Earth through absolute cognitive mastery of environmental variables, reading star patterns, ocean swells, and bird flights so complex that modern researchers require supercomputers to model them. This wasn't a miraculous accident. It was a cultural technology sustained for centuries, and the ultimate proof of this impossible journey isn't a shipwreck. It's a vegetable, the sweet potato. History is full of impossible achievements that rewrite everything we thought we knew. We are using advanced generative technology to bring these lost stories back to life with cinematic precision. If you want to see history as it actually happened, hit subscribe and like this video. We don't know the names of the navigators who made the first crossing. We don't know if the voyage was planned or a desperate accident. We don't know how many fleets vanished into the dark water for every one that succeeded. We don't know if the contact lasted for generations, or if it was a brief, brilliant window that closed forever. The ocean keeps its dead, and it keeps its secrets, but the sweet potato remains. It remains in the soil of islands scattered across the Pacific, in the genetic record of cultivated plants, in the linguistic echoes of a Quechua word, kumara, spoken by Polynesian navigators. It is the living, breathing evidence that the largest ocean on Earth was never a barrier. It was a highway. The map of the world we inherited is incomplete. The people who actually completed it didn't wait for European permission, and they didn't wait for recognition. They simply read the stars, built their canoes, and sailed.